Welcome to Deadlands Dime Novels, The Adventures of Young and Holt, Issue 56, Rattled Nerves and Whispered Voices. I'm your narrator, Ernest Wick, intrepid reporter for the Tombstone Epitaph. In this issue, Young and Holt, along with Professor Zig Waller, a native guide, and a small posse of guns continue to make their way into the Rockies in search of the hard-to-find All Seasons Valley. Once there, they plan the final showdown with Reddington. But getting there might be a right bit tougher than expected. Well, before the trail gets cold, we'd best see where they're at.
Porter is going to come up to Joshua and be like, did you really have to make us circle up as if we were a burial mound?
Well, it's only apropos if we get slaughtered in the night, right?
Thanks. Now I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight.
Oh, pleasant dreams, Porter.
Pleasant dreams, my ass.
At that point, Lomasai, she walks by and she says, "Don't worry. If they kill you, they'll make it quick."
That's not my worry! The first part is my worry, not the second part!
You all worry too much. He doesn't have much to worry. He's almost dead as it is anyway. She looks at Joshua.
Joshua looks back. He's too polite to say, "You're close to death too, ma'am." I'll offer her some smoke, though, if she wants it.
She will partake. The night, surprisingly, passes uneventfully. However, when you wake up in the morning and the sun begins to make its way into the valley and you see, how that very sharp delineation from dark to light as it begins to creep down as the sun rises, that the area where you are. No, actually, make me a notice check. Let's see exactly if you notice this.
5.
Okay, Porter definitely does. Joshua also. So the two of you notice this for sure. In subtle ways, the terrain around you has changed. It's not as if there's a new mountain there, but some of the placement of some of the brush that might be in part of this, or maybe certain areas where some of the trees may have jutted out or the line of trees went, those things have definitely changed. There's definitely something different about it. You still feel as if you're in the same place, but something has changed with the terrain around here.
Porter's gonna, while we're getting ready to mount up, are we walking around? We're on horses, right? Yeah.
You are on horse.
Porter's gonna kind of wander over in Professor Zig's direction while we're, Professor Waller's direction while we're getting packed up.
It's been a while since I've slept on the trail. My back is a little sore this morning, Porter.
That happens when you're not used to it. I have a question for you, Professor. You said you've traveled in this direction before?
Yeah, yes. I do recall coming through this area before. Yeah. In fact, I want to say I've camped maybe further up, but yes. Oh, your question.
Does this area look familiar to you?
Yeah. Well, no.
Take a good look.
I feel like I should be seeing something. I'm not. There's something amiss.
No. I may just be imagining things. Don't worry about it. hopefully your the ride will stretch out your back for you.
I'm hoping that as well.
And Porter's gonna head back, grab something to munch on for breakfast.
How soon do we need to be up and going, boss?
You ain't up and going yet? Get a move on. Burning daylight.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Don't get the boss mad. Come on. I'm the easygoing one.
In fact, don't go to the boss at all.
He leans in. Zeke leans in a bit more too. He goes, "It's always the ones in the suits you can't trust, right?"
Yeah, it's always the quiet ones, too.
Porter waits until Joshua's obviously eyeing in his direction and just kind of flips him off there.
So Joshua's going to approach Lomasai, and he'll pack his horse, get it ready, move his horse up next to where she's getting ready or mounted, and basically just look at her slowly and then look at the terrain. Say, so, the trees walk around here at night?
You see her smile a little bit, and she's definitely shorter than you. Her hand gently comes up and her index finger is out, and she touches you in the lower center of your forehead, and she comes back and she says, "So you can see it."
Kind of wish I didn't.
It gets worse.
Good to know. Appreciate it. Joshua just looks back at Porter, having been freshly flipped off, and grins to himself, knowing it gets worse.
Oh, boy.
As you continue on, and again, the terrain continues to change, but this time, of course, because you're traveling through it, you're going through an area where there's a number of birds overhead. They're flying back and forth, as birds do, and they occasionally, either as they land or as they're flying overhead, they tweet out their songs, or they tweet out their whistle. And it's been going on for about half hour or so, and everybody make me a spirit roll.
10 again.
Porter gets a 10. So after about a half an hour of hearing these birds tweet and squawk and everything, you begin to think that you're hearing them actually say something over and over and over. And it's not until, about a good 10 minutes of hearing it and mulling it over in your head, it begins to sound like the word doom. It's over and over. Doom, 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 doom. However, Porter, you hear something else.
Oh, boy.
You hear a different word that's in the same vein, but it's a different word. What is the word that you're hearing?
I was about to guess, but in that case, I think there's only one word. It's going to be death. Unless you have something else you'd like to fit in there.
No, I think that's a very, very good choice. And you see a few of the gun hands. They, as you're beginning to realize that they're saying doom, you hear a couple of them. They start to argue, or they're talking, like, "Are you hearing this? Yeah, I'm hearing it. It's like they're saying doom." And Zeke says, "Well, that's not what I heard him say, but yeah, it sounds like they're saying something. I'm hearing him say dark." And the professor says, "No, I distinctly heard doom. I heard doom." "Boss, what'd you hear? You hearing dark or you hearing doom?" And then one of the other cowboys says, "I'm not hearing any of that stuff." He says, "I'm hearing end. I'm hearing end. That's what I'm hearing. They're saying end."
Porter's going to kind of drift back to Joshua. Or I'm assuming Joshua's right next to him, actually. He's like, "So do you have any stories about people mistaking animal noises? I'm sure that's something that's come up in a lot of folk tales.
Yes, you actually do recall that there have been various tales of where people begin to slowly kind of descend into a either a state of madness if they're lost, or if they're actually being stalked by something evil and unnatural that may be part of it.
You're saying that, and that's Porter was gonna try to get Joshua to tell a tale to distract everyone. But if Joshua's going to relate this to him, you're just going to freak out Porter all the more.
No, it's good that Joshua knows this.
Go ahead and make me another guts roll. This, again, at -3. Joshua, because you know this, I'm going to reduce the penalty to a -1 in this particular case.
So Porter got a 3 and Joshua got a 6.
Time to weave a tall tale.
Yes, Porter, while Joshua's getting ready to weave his tale, mark down that you have failed one guts check. All right, there, tale teller. You rolled a 9, which is pretty dang good. What are we trying to accomplish here?
Trying to accomplish getting everybody to shut the heck up and stop thinking about it, so that they can get their mind off of the caw that's going on. And the way I'm doing that. Everybody simmer down. You guys know what crows mean, right? Now, there was a professor, not you, Zig, another professor, that I heard do a talk. He was drunk at the time, mind you, so it's probably only half true. But he told people that the crow was a symbol, and it meant positive change in your life. If you see, a couple of crows here or there and they start talking to you, means positive things are going to happen. Good things coming your way. Kind of the opposite of like the black cat crossing your path, so to speak.
Well, how come we're hearing doom? Or end? How come we're hearing end?
It's the end of bad things. Doom to your enemies.
Yeah. See? Told you that. You hear Zeke mutter, told you that's why he should be the boss. Kind of keeps us all aligned.
And Porter nods. He's nodding to himself.
I think there are some tribes out there that think crows are messengers too. So, that could add a little more bearing to the whole story about them bringing positive messages.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's a good story. Yeah, I kind of like that story.
Joshua's shaking his head as he realized that it means the exact opposite of everything he just said.
That last voice you gave, Chris, the guy who's like, yeah, that's a good story. I just imagine this one guy kind of poking his head up out of the pack in the back, and he's like all the way in the back. Yeah, that's a good story. Just calling out over everyone.
He's like one of those really like rail thin guys with the huge Adam's apple that just goes up and down. Oh, it's a really good story. Ill-fitting hat.
I also picture him as like the guy that's in the back of the Monty Python. She turned me into a newt.
After you had finished all of your storytelling that you did there, your tale-telling, Joshua, Lomasai turns and looks at you, and she gives you a bit of a smirk, and then she points at you again, taps that same spot. She taps it on her forehead, but she points at you, and then she taps her forehead. And then she makes a gesture to the rest of the gun hands, and then draws an X across her forehead in that same spot. And then continues on.
Before she gets done, after she draws the X on her forehead, I'll just pull my finger up like I'm going to my forehead, and then bring it down to my lips and do the shh.
And she gives a bit of a dismissive shrug, and then just kind of turns and keeps guiding.
Interestingly, she didn't point to Porter. Pointed to everyone else but Porter.
She did not point at Porter. So your day continues on. You break for lunch briefly, and then hit back on the trail. Porter, make me another smarts roll to see how your map is coming along.
That's a good question. How is my map coming along? I got a 7.
Not bad. You feel pretty confident in your map and your illustration here. It seems like it's going okay. At this point, Lomasai, you kind of get to the end of this certain area. It's almost like you're about to go through almost into another section here. Lomasai turns on her horse and she says, "We are close. Close. Pay attention in here." And you begin to go through, and it very quickly turns into a very narrow passageway where it's almost, you can go maybe 2 horses for some point of times, but at other times it becomes extremely narrow. There's only room for 1 horse. You're in this area seems to go on for quite a while. You're in here maybe about, almost feels like it's about 2 hours. And every 15, 20 minutes or so, there's a breeze that comes through. There's always a slight level of breeze here anyway, but it seems to pick up. And along with it comes this low, droning noise, almost like a wail or a moan of some sort. It starts off as maybe almost sounding like one voice, and then it goes into 2 or 3 voices, continuing to drone, back to 1, and then it goes away. Again, another 20 minutes or so pass, and it picks back up. And you can see the gun hands and the professor are getting a little unnerved by this because it sounds almost too real. It's, as opposed to how sometimes a howling wind can sound, this actually almost sounds like human moaning, and not of the pleasant variety either. And at one point, after one of them stops, Lomasai, she speaks up and she says, she gestures towards the sides of the ravine. "The painting walls, for those who sought the Sa'ai for the wrong reasons. The wrong reasons." What's she mean by that? What do you mean the wrong reasons? Who the Sa'ai? What? I kind of look back towards you guys. What do you think she meant by that? And Zig looks at you. He looks at you, Porter. He goes, that doesn't sound too pleasant. The wrong reasons?
Good thing we're not here for the wrong reasons. Isn't that right, Professor?
I don't know what the reasons would be. Maybe it's those who don't worship or follow them,
or perhaps those who dare to disturb them would be the wrong reasons. That seems like a reason. If you think about it, most everyone has respect the dead, don't touch the dead. Seems to me this would be a perfect reason for us to stop the dead from being disturbed.
But what if merely visiting their mounds is disturbing them? We don't necessarily know all of their customs. I'm beginning to wonder if we're making the right decision here, Mr. Holt.
Professor, if we do not continue with this, then I guarantee they will be disturbed. I would like to prevent that as much as possible.
Right, and I would like to see them. I think it needs to be seen.
And that's when Porter gives him a slap on the back. So would I, Professor.
Yes.
Besides, it's probably just holes in the wall that make the wind sound weird.
I know some other people in the sciences who might say the same thing. That's probably true.
All right, so while this conversation was happening, Joshua's going to round up the pokes
Hey, you hang with your group, I'll hang with my group.
Oh, remind me of that when the lead starts shooting.
Yeah, where me and the professor are hiding behind something, and you guys are all shooting at something.
All right, you pokes. You gonna let some supernatural mumbo-jumbo spook ya? Look, we're here to stop some bad men. That's all good. We're on the right side. We're not the wrong side. Move it out. Keep it together.
You can see a little bit of doubt in Zeke's eyes, but he attempts to put on a good face, and he goes, "You heard the second. No, we got a job to do. Let's stick with it." And they kind of nod a little bit in the almost a mob mentality kind of agreement. One nods, and then another one starts to nod, and peer pressure makes them all nod as they kind of keep going. But everybody, please go ahead and make me. I see that Josh already made his guts check, so Porter, why don't you do that the same?
Joshua was a little gruff in that speech because the Wailing Walls definitely are getting to him.
Perfect. And you both failed. Okay, please mark down.
No. Wait, when did you give me another penny?
He's been sneaky about that. He gave me one too.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't even notice, because I'm spending a penny.
All right, you go right ahead.
I think I will too.
All right, you go right ahead.
Now that you're making us keep track of it, I'm really paranoid.
But because I'm spending a red, you get to draw one.
Ooh, I'm gonna do that.
There we go. A nice 5 will do. Reporter was more talking to the professor to coax himself up.
Yeah, that's what happened with the pokes too, because he gave that speech. He was shaky going into it. He gave that speech to the pokes, and then he came out of it and he's like, "Yeah, all right, let's do this."
Nice. Okay. As you're feeling a bit reinvigorated and you feel like you've got everybody on track, you make your way through this painting walls area, and you come to this spot. It has a feel of like an antechamber. It's essentially like almost like a miniature valley, and you can see that the ravine or the high walls kind of continue on in another direction. When you made this turn to get into this area, it's almost as if you would have been just riding if Lomacai hadn't turned, you felt like you would have missed it. And Porter, you hear Zig mutter under his breath. He says, this doesn't look familiar. And at that point,
Porter's on his map immediately. Make it to try and mark it.
Make me a smarts roll.
Double 5.
Double 5. All right, you go ahead and you make your marks. But as you get in here, and after you hear Zig mention that, it immediately starts to rain, and you feel a significant drop in temperature, and it gets it doesn't get like freezing cold, but it definitely gets colder, and it is raining. And it's at that point, as it becomes a little darker because of the clouds overhead and the rain coming down, the rain is doing something strange to this entrance where Lomacai has gestured that they're about to go. And you can see, or at least you swear that you can see, in the walls surrounding this, there's visages, faces in the rocks, and they're looking at you. Porter, you see something that resembles the creature that drug you across the barn. And maybe that's Annabelle. Joshua, is that the two-faced woman's face in the rocks, or is that Ike's, or is it Mike, or you're seeing these, or is that just a sinister, devilish looking? And you can hear some muttering coming up amongst the cowpokes. And Porter, you take a quick look over at Zig, and he's just staring into these rocks or into this entrance, and he has a very concerned look on his face. And at that point, Zeke turns and he says, and his face is just white in this grayish overcast light that's here, and he's like, "No, boss." He goes, "That's it. There's too many weird things. We can't do this. We got to go back. We go through there. There's nothing good that's gonna come of this at all. We can't be going in there. I think we got to go back. Maybe get some more men. Yeah, that's it. Let's get some more men." And at that, it's time for a little social conflict. So,
that is the best guts roll I've ever seen, by the way, Joshua.
Damn, look at that.
He saw the two-faced woman. He's not scared anymore. He's pissed the hell off.
Nice. All right. So let's do a little social conflict. Let's if you'd open your Suede books to page 143.
Is this going to be on the test?
This will be on the test. So here we're going to do a little social arguing because Zeke is going to be advocating for leaving. And I'm assuming now that Josh was pissed and that Porter is not going to let these
Porter wants more help?
Yes. Porter, well, that's actually a good question. So, Porter, where do you sit on this? Do you want to continue on, or do you want to?
What?
Or do you want to go back?
There's no. He's going forward. There's no. I mean, Reddington's there.
Okay.
His revenge is there.
You are a coward, though.
I am a coward, but Porter's been running on this fuel of revenge for quite a while now, and it's overwhelming his fear.
All right, so here's how this is going to work. So Zeke is going to specifically address you, boss.
Oh yeah, that's me, isn't it?
It is you. And so we're going to have a contested persuasion roll here.
Oh, that's not good.
Though he's going against you, he is attempting to sway the other cowhands or the other gun hands to come with him. Zeke looks at you specifically, Porter, and he says, "Boss, something's not been right ever since we entered this valley. I didn't want to say anything on the first day, but when we woke up that morning after camp, something wasn't right. Some of the trees had moved, and it seemed like some of the rocks had changed positions or something. Now, I just dismiss that as maybe being tired eyes, but those wolf howls, I saw some eyes watching us on my shift when I was staying up that first night. And then those damn birds. We all heard different words, but we all heard words that weren't good. Now, your second here, he did say a good story, but I'm thinking that maybe that story doesn't apply in this particular situation. And I'm sorry, boss. I know you're in charge and all, but Alexander, he's the one who told us what our pay was, and I don't think we're getting paid enough to go in whatever's through that valley." All right, Porter, your turn.
So Porter is going to bring out his deck of cards. The blood splattered deck of cards that is an heirloom from Regina, and he's going to look the man dead in the eye. He's going to say, "Further in this valley is a man who willingly slaughtered people in a mining camp to just experiment, to see what he could do. And right now, he's going into this place, as you can see, that is not right, to experiment again. This time with who knows how many Confederate soldiers he brought with him. I'm sure you heard about the mercenary company that was in town at the stables that burned down. You know who burned down those stables? It was us, to stop this man. And now you're telling me because some birds are cawing because you don't recognize the ground around you, that you're afraid to walk into this valley and stop a man who willingly murders people willy-nilly? Are you all a bunch of cowards?
I tried to warn you not to piss off the boss.
Okay, so, Porter, that was pretty good. I'm going to give you a +1 on your persuasion.
Oh, I forgot the most important part.
Oh, well then please add on.
It's when he holds up the deck of cards with the blood splatter on it. See this blood here? This is the blood of the love of my life this man killed for sport. And he's right in there. And you all are just gonna run away because you hear some crazy noises in the wind?
And because you played the heirloom card, that kind of works into your advantage. I'll give you an additional +1, so you'll get a +2 on your persuasion on this one. And
that's good, because I need it, because I have a D4. I'm not very intimidating.
And I'm going to give Zeke his. He's playing to their fears, and some of these guys have failed their guts checks prior, so I'm going to give him a +1 as well. So go ahead and roll your persuasion, and let's see what happens here in this first round. Look at that, we tied.
No, I got a 6.
You got a 6, that's right. Okay, right now we each have a single token, each of influence. Okay, so that's the first round. Now we go into round 2, and at this point, Joshua, you'll be able to jump in here if you'd like as well, or Porter, you can certainly continue, because Zeke is going to expand his conversation to include everybody. Zeke says, "Now, boss, I am sorry for your loss by the hand of this man. That hurts me here to my core, and I understand your need for revenge. But some of the other things that you say are a little troubling. You say he killed people to experiment on them? Well, I think I speak here for me and the rest of the boys. We don't want nobody experimenting on us. We didn't sign up for that necessarily. We signed up to fight, which brings me to my second point. You heard the boss say it yourself, everyone. Who knows how many Confederate soldiers, former Confederate soldiers, it doesn't matter, they're all people with guns. Who knows how many we're going to encounter there? There's just 7 of us." He looks over at Lomasai. "Odds are, I'm thinking the old woman here ain't that great with gun. No offense, Professor, but you look more comfortable with a book in your hands than with a 6-shooter. Now, the second here, I got no qualms about this man. I'm sure he can take out plenty. That doesn't necessarily mean a lot if there's lots of numbers out there. Now, we could go back, get some more help, get back in here. Maybe do it that way. That's what I'm thinking."
Okay. Joshua is going to take a different approach. He's not going to be persuasive. He's going to taunt.
Ooh, all right.
You yellow-bellied, low-down, sniveling wisp of a man. You gonna be scared off by something like this? Come on. Ex-Confederate soldiers. Past their prime Confederate soldiers. You really scared of them? Heck, most of them can't even carry their guns right, let alone pull their pants up. We wanted 7 men to come riding with us, and you came through what? Are you a real man or not? If you're turning around right here, you're saying you're nothing but a dog. Might as well shoot you myself and put you down.
All right, that last line is good. I'll give you a +1 on that, and I'm not going to give Zeke any modifiers, only because he kind of used. Well, he didn't use essentially the same argument, but he weakened his position when he said that they could go back for help, which meant that they would still be coming back here and might have to go through the same thing. So it kind of neutralized a little bit of what he said. So go ahead and roll your taunt, Joshua. All right, Joshua's taunted. Well done. You kind of unnerved him a little bit. So your side gets 1 more token. My side, or Zeke's side, does not. Last round. Zeke, shifts in his saddle a little bit. He's a little bit uncomfortable by everything you just said. You could tell that you struck a chord with him. And he says, "All right, old man. I don't cotton to those kinds of words much. But gotta say, calling me a coward after the strange things that we saw and going into a place where we don't necessarily know exactly how many or who's going to be there or what they can do. We don't know if this guy can do what the boss said with his experiments and his strange things. It's not a fair fight. That's it. It's not a fair fight is what that is. Not at all. I want you all to think about those you got waiting for you back there. And is the money that Alexander paid us, is that gonna be enough to make up for what you might find in there if you even come back? You think on that. All right. Who wants to go on this side? And by the way, you can assist.
Okay, well then I already know what I'm going to assist with once.
Aw, I was gonna assist you.
No. In the case of what I think we should discuss that I sent to you, I think you should talk about it because they respect you more in that sort of category. And then I will tack on the little flourish with a dramatic little gesture. If you get what I'm saying.
I guess Porter's got to play to his strengths this time. Switch back to persuasion, just to make sure
Joshua?
that Joshua, yeah. Just so that we in this good. You say you don't cotton to these words, but I see, because of this attitude, your spines are already straightened up and your color's already shifted from yellow. See, you're already stronger. Look at you getting mad. Use that when we ride in there to take these men down, because I fail to ever believe that there is a hopeless situation, that things like this can't be stopped or prevented. We don't really know how strong we are until we face forward and we ride in to meet it.
And Porter, you're going to attempt to assist here?
Porter, while Josh was talking, is like digging in his bag nearby. Money's what you're worried about? Porter just grabs like $100 in bills and just throws it at him. Take it! You want more? I have more! You think that's an issue?
All right, that's definitely will give Joshua the requisite +1 on that. Actually, if you threw, did you throw like $100?
Absolutely.
All right, so I'll make that
an actual $100.
I'll make that. I'll actually make that a +2 because that's a pretty good amount of money amongst 7 guys.
I will also fan another 100 to make it blatant that I have much more on me.
And I am going to give, because he appealed to loved ones back home, I'm going to give Zeke an additional +1. You got a 12? Oh, jeez.
We're going in there.
All right. So I did get a success, so I got a token, but you got a success and a raise, and let me see if you get an additional one for every raise. For each success and raise. All right, so that would be 1, 2, that'd be the additional 3 tokens, so you have a total of 5, and I got a total of 2, I believe, correct? Yes, because I failed last round. So the net result, I got 2, you got 5, net result is then 3. On the social conflict results table, the target isn't truly convinced, but provides the minimum amount of support possible.
All right, I have a question. This is a rules question. Each success and raise by the petitioner grants her an influence token. Rivals don't gain tokens; they just oppose the petitioner and keep them from gaining them.
It's at this point there was a bit of a discussion over the rules, and it was indeed determined that once the rules were used correctly, Young and Holt actually netted 4 successes. So in the 4 description, the arbiter is reasonably convinced and willing to help. Grants the aid requested, more or less, but only under certain conditions or in exchange for payment, tasks, favors, whatever. Okay, so basically how this plays out. It's still raining. The last of the dollars or coins, hit the ground. We'll say bills because it'll look cooler in the rain. The last of the bills kind of hit the ground, and it's silent, and the only sound is the rain, and everyone is there just kind of looking at each other. There's a moment, and then Zeke kind of lowers his head briefly. He looks back up and looks over to the rest of the gun hands, and they all kind of nod and then look down towards where the money is. And Zeke says, all right. We'll do it. We'll stick with it. We'll stick it through. Now, if they outnumber us way too much,
we'll do it smart.
We better. Get your payment, boys. And they jump down and start scooping up the money and get back on their horses.
Porter's gonna roll his eyes and look out across the valley again.
Josh was thinking about which ones he would shoot first if he had to shoot them.
They get back up on their horses, and you finish sizing up who your potential victims might be, Joshua. And Porter, you're rolling your eyes and trying your best to maybe not make contact with some of the visages that you can still see.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not looking at those. I'm looking out. I'm straight ahead, not at the walls with the faces on them.
And you see Lomasai. She kind of gives another shrug of resignation and begins leading the crew through this ravine. When you come out on the other side, and you're in there maybe only, and it winds and twists and turns, you're only in there for maybe 10 minutes or so. You come out on the other side, and you are greeted to this gorgeous sight of this wide open valley. And you could definitely tell it's a valley because you can see the mountainsides on all, essentially all 4 sides. And it has stopped raining. The sun is out. You see green, lush grass, small rolling hills, and the rocks, rock faces in here sport a variety of colors, from gray to brown, and even a few streaks of black here. And they're all in the various layers that you normally might see with rocks. But this is different, where they almost seem to make no sense in how they're arranged. In some areas, they crisscross in a way that doesn't seem quite right and doesn't reconcile well with what you've seen before. You can see a large pond or small lake can be seen on either side of the valley. And the one final thing that strikes you as you enter in here is that you feel a presence of some sort. What exactly it is at this very moment, you're not sure, but it soaks into you as you take in the sights of this valley. Well, they made it. Now comes the tough part. How they deal with it all we'll find out in our next issue, The Showdown. The part of Porter Holt is played by Brad Smith. Joshua Young is played by Brent Rich. And your intrepid marshal is played by Chris Hussey. This game references the Savage Worlds game system, available from Pinnacle Entertainment Group at PEGINC.com. It is unofficial media content permitted under the Media Network Content Agreement. This content is not managed, approved, or endorsed by Pinnacle Entertainment Group, and certain portions of the materials used are the intellectual property of Pinnacle, and all rights are reserved. Savage Worlds, all related settings and unique characters, locations, logos, and trademarks are copyrights of Pinnacle Entertainment Group. Thanks also to Fear the Boot. Support their Patreon at patreon.com/feartheboot. Intro music by Half Deaf Clatch. Some sound effects by Plate Mail Games. Contact information for the cast as well as music links can be found in the notes on our website, youngandholt.com. If you enjoy these issues, please consider dispensing a lovely 5-star review on wherever you do listen from. If you can't leave a review, please tell your friends about the podcast. And please search for Fear the Boot Actual Play. It's kindly appreciated. I'm Ernest Wick for the Tombstone Epitaph. And remember, courage means being the only one who knows you're afraid.